Everyone has a voice, but right now mine needs to be heard. Many things to be said, and you need to hear every word. Why do you think we need to raise our voices just to get your attention? Why do you think it's necessary to voice our opinions just to get some comprehension? Should the overwhelming concerns in my head be left unspoken, unsaid, because you'd like to believe that racism is dead? Are you uncomfortable listening to the things I need to say? Because I'm uncomfortable experiencing those things every day. Like war and poverty, when it's not personally affecting you, it's easy to put out of your mind, especially since you have that one black friend and you're raising your kids to be colorblind. These are just poor excuses to convince yourself you're not racist while my everyday hardships are dismissed. So, could we start by admitting that the world is not colorblind and white privilege does exist? Can we admit that you can speak freely on any given day with no consequence, no cost? So let today be a day of listening for me to get my point across on Black lives being lost. Am I yelling? No. I just need to speak loud because it's been expected of me to be just black and not proud. I'm going to stop right there and give you a few reasons of why it's necessary for me to say the mantra, I'm black and proud. I'm black and proud because I was raised by a Chinese Caucasian mother who never took the time to learn how to do my hair and called me nigger more than my given name. Because as a child, I was bullied by Sri Lankan kids in my neighborhood who called me nigger, darky, chocolate, even though their skin colors were darker than mine. Because when I was 14, my friends and I were told by a police officer I should just shoot you all, send you back to Africa, and let God sort you out. Because when I was 16, I was told by the police I should be aware of my surroundings because you know how it is, you're black, you put your hand in your coat, people think you're going to shoot. Because in kindergarten, my second daughter was called the N word for the first of many times, and my third daughter was told her skin color looks like poo. Because my friend who works at a government call center and speaks French so eloquently was told by a French man over the phone that the government should hire more white Quebecois people because black people are stupid and lazy, especially Jamaicans. My friend is black and of Jamaican descent. Because my sister had kidney stones when she was pregnant and was told the medication she would take would possibly stain her son's baby teeth. Fast forward to when my nephew was a toddler and her pediatrician tells her the stains on her son's teeth are probably from the spices you people use in your food. Because I've been told to go back to Africa, Muslimville, the Congo, Planet of the Apes, and I've had immigration called on me twice even though I was born in Canada. Because I have been asked if my siblings and I have the same father, if I know my father, if I use knife and fork to eat, and if my hair is real. Because when my stepson and I got pulled over by the police a few weeks ago, I got out of the car to give the officers the registration and insurance papers. We couldn't find them at first. And my stepson asked me if I was allowed to get out of the car like that while being pulled over. I told him I've gotten out of the car before, but I always make sure my hands are visible. My stepson said even if it is allowed, he still would never attempt to get out of the car, and I could tell the thought of getting out of the car for him was scary. Because my daughter and a group of her friends all got suspended after being accused of bullying a white student. The following year at the same school, my daughter was being bullied by a group of white boys to the extent that she was coming home crying every day and they were only spoken to. Because when a parent yelled at my daughter to shut the fuck up during her basketball game, I confronted said parent after the game about speaking to my then 13-year-old daughter that way, and I was kicked out of the school for being black and expressing my dissatisfaction with anything. Because no one clutches their bags in fear when a white person steps onto an elevator. Because I have asked for the price of an item in a store and gotten this response, very expensive or more than you can afford. Because when my sister worked at Canada Post, she had a customer come in looking for her lost wallet. That same customer later called Canada Post to complain, saying my sister stole her wallet because there was calls made to Jamaica on her calling card and it must have been the Jamaican girl working at the cash. Me and my sisters are of Haitian and Chinese descent. Because I have had numerous encounters with racist neighbors. One occasion I was told by a neighbor, I support the KKK and I'll hang you from a tree, you nigger monkey. And 10 years later, had a note slid under my door which read, you burnt frogs, take your AIDS back to Africa, you monkey fuckers, by a completely different neighbor. Because white parents don't have to explain to their white daughters the things I have to explain to my daughters, like to be proud of the hair that naturally grows out of your scalp and wearing your natural hair isn't ghetto or unkept. That it's not a compliment to be told you're pretty for a black girl. That you don't have to be white or light-skinned to be considered beautiful. Because white parents don't have to explain to their white sons the things I explain to my stepson and my nephews, like make sure your hands are always visible and don't make quick movements in the presence of police. Make sure you always have a witness, preferably a white one, for the many times you'll be falsely accused or fit the description of a black male suspect. Because my daughter died after suffering from an asthma attack, and the hospital who put my unconscious child in a wheelchair instead of on a bed repeatedly called my house asking for her Medicare card number after she had already passed away, most likely because they assumed she wasn't Canadian and they were worried that they were not going to get paid. They also had the police interrogate her friends and search her room, most likely because they assumed she was having a drug overdose, even though she was a known asthmatic for the majority of her life, and the only drug she possibly overdosed on was the asthma inhaler that was prescribed to her, and I was told after her death has adverse effects on black people. Because black history isn't taught in school. Because of the numerous microaggressions I experience every single day. Because everything around us teaches us to be ashamed that being black is a liability and black people are less than human. It's only acceptable for me to be seen playing sports or dancing in rap videos, but never really heard. Is that what's insinuated? Well, my face will be seen, my voice amplified, and my mind opinionated. Just because you choose not to see it doesn't make it right. And just because I'm pro-black doesn't make me anti-white. Just because you're not black doesn't make it any less of your fight. Because if you're not speaking out against oppression, then you and the oppressors unite.